Okay, so now that we have a thorough tour of the WordPress interface under our belts, are we ready to finally start creating things? I want to get into creating all kinds of different things here inside the WordPress admin interface here with you. Not only posts, but I want to get into talking about creating something called pages, and we have to talk about categories and tags and all kinds of other things. But to get us started here for the next little while, what we'll do is we'll talk about creating posts inside the visual editor here at first anyway. So to get ourselves started, I'm looking at my WordPress admin interface, of course. I'm on my dashboard right now. And what I'm going to do is going down the left-hand side here, this left-hand menu, I'm going to look for posts. Go ahead and click on posts. And that, of course, brings you into this edit posts interface, or this edit post screen. And what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create a new post here with you. Now there's a number of ways that we can do this. You could click add new up at the top if you want, or you can click on add new over on the left. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's going to get you into this same interface here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to expand out my interface just a little bit because you can see a heck of a lot more on your screen than I can on my screen. So I'm just going to expand things out here just so we can see what we have here. And of course, we have our title field running right across the top of our interface here. And I'm going to type in, welcome to my new blog. Okay, great. So this is going to be the second post on our blog. Of course, we have that default post that we saw earlier, right? So I've added in my title. The next thing that I want to do is I want to start adding in some content sort of into this body area here that we see. Now, before we get to that, though, I want to talk about something really quickly here. Something called a permalink. And a permalink, well, it sounds kind of strange. What the heck do they mean by a permalink? Well, what that is it's the link to this new post that you and I are now creating. So if I want to send an email out maybe to my newsletter subscribers or maybe to my friends or my coworkers, and I want to send this link to them, I want them to go and look at my new blog post, well, this would be the URL. I could take this whole chunk of code here, this whole URL, copy it, and then paste it into my email program and send it off, right? Now, my URL looks a little bit weird. Mine says a localhost 8888. Yours would say something else. It would say perhaps yourname.wordpress.com or, yourownurl.com. And then the important part is this little bit right here. That's really the permalink. And that's the default format, by the way, for this thing called a permalink. You may have seen this as you've surfed around on other people's blogs. In any regard, that's the idea here. The default here is / $P equals, and then some kind of a number there. And if you want, you can change your permalinks. I can just click on that, and that'll bring me into this screen here, which we'll get into in just a little while here. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this tab here. I'll just go and close out of that. We'll talk about customizing our permalinks in just a little while. But what I want to do with you now is I want to go and add in some content into the body of my post, because right now my post is simply comprised of a title. So here's what I'm going to do. Hide my browser for a second. And then down on my desktop, I have my project files folder. I'm going to go ahead and open that guy up. And inside the project files folder, look for a file called firstpost.txt. This guy right here. Go ahead and open him up. Okay. So here's our text for our first post. I was going to type all this out for you and have you follow along, but that would take way too long. So you can use this text, by the way, if you want, or you can use some other text. Maybe you want to grab some text off of a website or whatever you like. Go ahead and grab that text, select it all, and copy it. Command-C here on the Mac, Control-C if you're on the Windows side. I'll head back over to my web browser, Firefox here, and all I'm going to do is I'm simply going to paste inside this body field, Command-V or Control-V, there on the Windows side. And of course, there's our content that we now have inside our post. Great. Now, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit because I want to mention one other thing here. All the way down towards the bottom of this screen here, we have some discussion options. Allow comments and allow trackbacks and pingbacks on this page. Now, we'll talk about trackbacks and pingbacks in a little while. It's a little more, well, it's not really that complicated, but a lot of times people get confused by trackbacks and pingbacks and exactly how they work, so we'll talk about that. But allow comments. So do I want people to be able to comment on this post? Well, that's usually the idea behind a blog. You want to have some interactivity. You want to have people commenting. You want to be able to start a discussion, start a conversation with them, right? That's really the idea behind a blog. So I'm going to make sure that both check marks are indeed marked off.